Well, this is what we're going to build today. It's a down pressure for a post hole digger, and where I live, it's, well, the ground is all this shale, and so you get the choice between either your auger will grab and go into the ground like a screw and probably make it about 3/4 of the way and the shear pin will break, or it'll go down about a foot and stop, and then you really can't get much farther. So I'm hoping this is going to make the difference in that. I went to look and see about buying one of these, but they're pretty darn expensive. So I made it with a bunch of, I had some scrap steel that I used, and this cylinder I got from Surplus Center for $70, and then all the rest of the hydraulic stuff. Anyway, all together, it cost me about $150 for the stuff that I had to buy. Like I said, I had this piece of steel, which was really about the only thing other that I needed. Okay, let's get into the shop, and we'll start making it. So to get the specifics on how to make this, I looked online, ones that are sold commercially, and then ones that people have made themselves, and most of them use a 2-inch cylinder. You only need a single acting cylinder, which saves you some money. And then, kind of to get a height here, I came about a foot off the top of that boom, and then just needed to come out far enough to get enough travel. I measured it, let it all the way down and then all the way up to see what the difference would be between those two angles, and I only needed about 6-8 inches. This one actually will travel 12 inches. It was just a good price. I got this one for $69 from Surplus Center. And then this is a 2-inch cylinder, and the only specs I could find talked about that, on ones that you could purchase or that people had made, said that they used a pressure relief valve that kicked off at 1,500 pounds. So with the 1,500 pounds coming to a 2-inch cylinder, that's the same specs that some others had used, and so that got me in the range of where I think this is going to, not tear up my auger and not tear up my tractor, and those kind of things. All right, here's the template that we're going to use to cut the steel. And the way I made it was I just measured the diameter of this and then took a compass, and I came up 2 inches from the edge. This was a rectangular piece like that. And so it just came up 2 inches and in 2 inches, and then I scribed the diameter of that with a compass, and then just repeated that here, the same radius, just to round it off and make it look nice. And then I rounded these two corners, and then I measured, I set this here, and then I measured to see how far I would have to go from here to the top up here to get within 10 or 12 inches, because I've got to clear this arm down here with my piston. So then I put a 3-inch diameter circle here, and then I just connected it with a line across there. Now to get this hole, I just put this on here and hit it with a hammer, and it marked that position for me right there. All right, so I've got the template on the steel, and this is just 1/4-inch hot rolled steel, and I'm getting ready to cut it out with a plasma cutter. And I'm using a cardboard template to do that, and I've got another video that's can you use a cardboard template for a plasma cutter, if you want to watch that. Alright, well, my steel is, if I'd cleaned my steel, I probably would have done a little bit better job with that. Alright, so that's got our two pieces roughed out. Now we'll get into the shop and we'll get them sanded smooth on the edges. so I got the two pieces and I've sandblasted them roughly. There's still some rust on there, but I'm not too concerned about it. I'm going to drop on my template. And again, I'm going to line up this inside edge. And then this is a transfer punch, but the biggest one I have is 1/2 inch, so I'm going to use that. This is really just a near enough is good enough kind of thing. And that's transferred that point. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go get that drilled out to 3/4. And I'm going to do both of these at one time. Alright, so I got both of our pieces bolted down here to the mill. And I've got my cutter lined up with that hole that we punched. And so now I'm going to drill out a 3/4 inch hole using some silver dimming drill bits toward the end when I get to the big sizes. Alright, so this is the end where we need a hole for the cylinder to go. And I'm getting ready to cut in a 1 inch hole, or it's actually 22 millimeters, but it'll be close enough. Alright, that's got our hole cut. I had to use that hole saw because that other one had the teeth broke out of it. So it was just a cheap Chinese one. It didn't hold up. It started out cutting really well and then the tooth broke off. Alright, so now I've cut some angle iron. This is 3 3/4. That's what fits my setup. And I'm just adding these in there to provide for some bracing. I had to make sure where everything moves in here that it doesn't get in the way of anything. So you can see, like I put this on the tractor and marked where the holes go through it. So I think that'll work. Alright, all the placements are good, so I'll just get this all welded down. Okay, so this is the one I just welded, and I've got it turned upside down on top of the other one. And now, to get them lined up, I'm just using a square and running it around, making sure that this bearing surface is really good. Like that, and then all the way around. So I've got it lined up now, and now all I got to do is just tack it down. Alright, and there is the finished frame. I just got to get a coat of paint on it, and it'll be ready to go. Just putting on some Rust-Oleum red primer. Alright, so these are the pieces that are going to sit on the pipe like that and hold the end of the hydraulic cylinder. And I've gotten them cut and on the bandsaw, and now I just need to sand these corners nice and round. Alright, so I got one of our ears mounted in the vise, and I'm now going to get it drilled out to 1 inch. I'm going to use a boring head this time. Alright, so I'm getting everything lined up. I want to get these tacked on here, and then I'll take this off and get it in a better position. and Welding. I just want to get this all lined up. Here's the bracket that we made all painted. Now, putting this cylinder on here, you'd be better if this port was up here at the top, because that way it would be sure and extinguish any air that's in there. But when I flip it over like that, this gets really close to this, and I'm afraid at some point it would snap that off, so I'm not doing that. Now, when I built this bracket, I had to build it this wide in order to get over the post down here at the bottom. So I need some spacers up here, so I just took some 1-inch pipe and cut it off, so I'll put one of those on each side. Alright, so here's kind of the guts of the hydraulic system that's running this down pressure for the post hole digger. And so my situation may be a little bit different than yours in that I'm using a third function arm that's, you know, I have a third function on my tractor for a grapple, and so it operates off of my shifter for my front end loader. So that's where I'm actually attaching this. Most people would attach this to remote hydraulics off the back, but you're still going to need most of this same setup. So this is my pressure regulator, and it comes set at 1,500 pounds. And this, on these, you've got, this is your tank port right here. So this is your return to the tank. And then this one actually just, it runs straight through. So when I hook this to the tractor, this side will provide pressure, and it'll go just straight through this hole and head out this smaller 1/4-inch line to the cylinder on the post hole digger and push it down. What this does is when it gets, the pressure is above 1,500 pounds, this will open and let the excess pressure run down and back to the tank. Now, since I have this set up on my third arm, I could accidentally push the other button, which would send pressure up this hose. So I actually have a check valve in here to prevent me from being able to do that. So I have a check valve in here, which probably wouldn't be necessary for other people in this situation. Okay, so let's get out to the tractor, and I'll show you how I've got it all hooked up out there. Stop the video. Don't hook it up like that. All of the other is correct except for this is where the you get the pressure relief comes out, and I don't need this check valve here, but I'm just going to leave it. This really could be connected just right here to an elbow, and then this has to go. You can't connect this side to, like if you've got remote ports like these two. This is for a third function, but if you had ports on the back of your tractor, you can't hook these two just one to each one of these, because when you go to lift that up out of the ground, chances are the cylinder is going to have a check valve to have to go through in the other valve, and it's going to break your post hole digger. I'll put another video out to show you how I know that. But anyway, so this side has to be plumbed directly to, and on my tractor it's right here, to the tank. So this does not run back through another valve. And this side just comes off of one, like on a remote in the back, you would just hook it to one side or the other and use the valve that operates that side. And that's what I'm doing on this tractor. I'll need to get those hydraulic lines, you know, routed better than that. But now I'm going to energize the hydraulic cylinder. Alright, so now I'm going to go energize the hydraulic cylinder, and hopefully the pressure relief valve will keep it from bending my boom again. All right, well now I think that's going to work great. It gives us some good down pressure. The pressure relief valve kicks off before it bends my boom. And that before, it wasn't the cylinder that bent it. It was when I raised it up. You know, it was the pressure couldn't get out of there through that pressure relief because it was up against another valve. So having that plumb to the tank is what makes all the difference. But anyway, I think this has got something that's going to work for me. Hope this was interesting to you. I hope it gives you some ideas. Thank you for watching.